So thank you for having this interview with me. If you don't mind, could you please introduce yourself to the people?
My name's Anayah Williams. I go to Northampton Community College. I'm a sophomore, and I'm a part of a nonprofit organization called Youth of the Nation.
Okay, and what do you do within Youth of the Nations?
So basically, it's just a nonprofit organization. We're here to spread the gospel of God and help people. Cut. Cut.
What exactly do you guys do in your organization?
So basically, our goal is to help people grow closer to God, to develop a relationship with God if one's not already developed. We like to give back as well without expecting anything in return. So we're really focused on younger generations, like our generation, Gen Z, and the generations to follow, because we're the next leaders, we're the next people in charge of these positions that, no longer are going to be in charge by adults and like older people of that sort. So it's very important that we just do our job of trying to help people find not only their purpose, but feel a part of something, feel accepted, know that they're loved, that they're supported by strangers who are doing their job as followers of Jesus and as children of Jesus.
Okay, yeah. So how long have you guys been doing this?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, so this year is our 5th year anniversary,
Okay.
So we decided to come to Spelman because Nia's here now. She's a member of Youth of the Nations, and just kind of like try to spread it across the country. And then our plans in the next few years is to go global. So we want to maybe hit a continent or two. I'm not sure what kind of country we're talking about, but just continuing to spread that love that we have for God and for other people who may not know us yet, and just continue to keep doing our work. So
Yeah, and I know you mentioned 5 years. During that entire 5 years, have you been a part of the organization?
Yes, I have.
And you've been a part of it with your friend, Nia?
Yes, so basically we started the organization during COVID. So it started online, like on call, and then Zoom because of COVID. And it was just really because Nia's mom, CJ's mom, that's the minister of Youth of the Nations, one of the founders, they felt as if there wasn't a community for the children necessarily, because there are churches, but no one really talks about the kids, and that's where it all starts. So she wanted to make that space for them, not only for her children, but for other children, for me. So I started off with them, and honestly, I think the next year I got baptized, and that was like really the biggest step I took, like getting baptized and things of that sort. And then everything after that has just been the same game plan, just sticking to the plan, and just trying to reach more states, more countries, things of that sort.
So what exactly are you guys doing within this organization, and how much are you devoting yourself to it?
I'm devoted a lot. We're all devoted a lot. As far as like what we do, it's more so based on like the events. That's like our biggest outreach that we have, just trying to find new people who may not already have a relationship with God, or their relationship may not be strong, or they may be in a tough season in life. So necessarily I feel like our events are our biggest outreach when it comes to like physical work, like but behind the scenes we do Zoom calls every week, and we spread our gospel through there. Minister Curtis, he'll speak, pray over us, pray in general, and then just we'll read the Bible, and it's kind of like it's like that. So like I don't know how else to...
I mean, I totally understand. So how much has your involvement with God and Christ contributed to your success as an individual?
It's contributed a lot. I don't think anything I've been able to do up to this point, or the person I am, it wouldn't be without God, because I feel like honestly he is he gives me my life in a sense. So I feel like I'm nothing without him. So nothing I've done has been like on my own. I can't give myself that credit, because I know everything happens for a reason, like we were saying before. And I feel like It's been very helpful, like reading the Bible, getting baptized, having those little steps. It's definitely put that faith into me at a younger age. So like 5 years ago, that's when it's really started, and I think it's just continuing. Even like this weekend, giving back to students, being able to be in a different environment and being able to do that, and seeing Spelman students come, Morehouse students come, Clark students come out and show their support. I think that's so beautiful. And I think also another thing is, I don't know, like necessarily I wouldn't say it's about like my personal relationship with him, because it does help me in my own way, but I think the beauty is seeing other people have relationships with him and their stories being different, and everyone still has the same love and shows it in a different way. Yeah, so I think that's the best thing.
Yeah, that's a good answer. So I would say we've dealt with a lot of positives, but we also have to address some of the negatives in our society. What do you believe is a negative that you see within Christians today, or people that call themselves Christians?
I think the negative thing I would see as a believer of God is the force necessarily. Sometimes it's not always done in the right way. It has right intentions behind it, but when you're talking to people who may not have as big of a relationship with God, you have to know how to like ease into that. And then also sometimes it's not even about the Christians themselves, but sometimes you just have people who don't believe in him or who haven't experienced him yet in a way to where they may not be in that place in that season to where they're accepting of it. For me, I've never had that because I've always grown up knowing God, but my mom never forced a relationship on me. In a way of like it was overbearing. So for me, she wanted me to experience that on my own, and I'm very grateful that I had some sort of fire in me to do it at a young age, because it's definitely continued over time. So me having my own relationship, I feel like is a great thing. But I feel like, I think the only negative I can say about the Christians in today's time is sometimes dealing with the kind of people we have in the world right now. The message, it's more important about how you deliver it than the necessarily the message, if that makes sense.
And do you think that drives a lot of people away from becoming Christians? You know, people being like, oh, you gotta do this, you gotta do that.
Yes and no. I think at the end of the day, the relationship you build with God is your relationship to build. So I feel like putting that excuse on someone else isn't the way someone should go about it. But also I do see it being double-sided to where people could feel overbeared and maybe their season is not the best and they are questioning God and may not believe in him as much to where they use that as an excuse or genuinely feel that way. So I think it's double-sorted. I think it just really depends on like the person. But
I could totally agree. Do you believe that our society has become more godless, I would say, over time?
Yes. I think social media is very scary. I think AI is very scary. I think the people that we have in power and the way they use their power for their own betterment instead of the individuals that aren't more than numbers and statistics, I think that's scary as well. So I do see our world is way less loving. I think when I think of God, I think of the principles he gives us and the things he wants us to live by, and that's just to make the world a better place, to lighten people up, to do good, you know what I mean, do right. And I think it's definitely a more godless world, but at the same time there are people and there is positivity in the world, and I think positivity can spread really quick when it's genuine, when it's natural, when it's flowing from the right place. So I would say though. I definitely do.
And do you ever feel like you've or have you ever experienced, as the Bible would put it, temptation in the past?
I feel like everyone experiences temptation. There's certain temptations that I don't experience as much as others, and I think it just really depends, again, person to person. But I think the best way to like fighting temptation is like for me, finding a habit or like a hobby, or even just reading your Bible, like being around the right people. I think your environment is very important when it comes to the person you are. Psychology says that as well, like your environment plays a role into the person you become. So I think like with temptation, you will see it less, certain temptation, when you're around a certain environment or a certain group of people.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say I definitely agree with that. I've met a lot of people who have their own perspective on Christianity because of the environment that they grew up on. Not necessarily saying that should be why they shouldn't be part of the group, but you know, certain experiences can definitely you know, affect how somebody views something like that.
Yeah, and I think even for myself, I haven't had the best life. Like I've definitely gone through things that were out of my control, and I think like during those times I could see why someone would not believe in God or give up that idea or question it, because it's a higher power, it's a higher being. But when you look at life and you see the science and the fact that science can't prove everything, you have to understand that someone else made this. Like there's something more, if that makes sense. That's how I see it. And I think even if there wasn't a God at the end of the day, the principles that the Bible, the Quran, whatever book one reads to pray to their God, mine is obviously Jesus, but it gives you a set of rules to follow. And it keeps the world better. It keeps people more decent. It gives us morals, it gives us values, it gives us something to believe in. And I think that's very important, because I feel like without that, we would have way more of a godless world than the one we have. We would have a lot more soulless people, and people who don't have anything to look for after this. You know, your situation may vary. You may have a high season, you may have a low season, and if there was nothing to believe in, I feel like we would all be hopeless. Like we're human at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So whether you lose a game or you win a game, you win the lottery or lose your car, whatever the case may be, like you're gonna feel that similar experience that someone else may feel. So yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I think it's very important.
Yeah, it is. I believe religion is a strong foundation for a lot of the morals that we have today. So if we didn't have it, it would be a lot of chaos. I'll say that.
I agree.
There's a lot of corruption and stuff within our society. So it's definitely important. It's definitely impacted my life just as it's impacted yours. We all have our own struggles. So without a doubt, it has impacted me. And I give credit to my father for, you know, bringing that into my life.
Amen. Yeah.
So is there anybody that you could look up to be like the standard of what you should be?
Honestly, I feel like my standard is right now for sure Anayah's mom. Just her putting that passion and that drive and seeing how dedicated she is to giving back and knowing that it's gonna come back to her 10 times more. I think it's so beautiful, and I think the genuineness she has and the power she has to draw people towards her, I think it's so inspiring and it's so incredible. And I think as a woman of today's time, it's very important. And yeah, it's just, that's the standard I have for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's always good to have somebody to look up to and say, okay, this is what I should be like. Without that, you know, there's definitely going to be some flaws and bumps that you experience across the way. So, but what was your relationship with Nia and her mother, and how did you like get to know them? Like, did you grow up with them?
I did. So it's funny. My dad and my aunt, they owned a daycare in Pennsylvania, and my mom, she used to kind of run it in a way. So we used to go early in the morning, run to that daycare, and they would be the first kids to be there. So like around 6, right? And we're young, so school doesn't start until maybe 8:30. So we're there taking naps with them on the cots, and we're just trying to, you know, I don't know, make the best out of the situation. So that's kind of where it came. I ended up moving home, well, to New Jersey. That's my hometown originally, and then we came back to Pennsylvania, and she was in my class.
Oh,
and I started talking to her, and from there we continue to be friends. Yeah.
Sounds like a great relationship.
Yeah.
So, hey, it's lasted this long, so it has to be great,
exactly.
right? Well, to end it off, is there any quote or motto that you live by in your life, and what does it mean to you?
I would say be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very important that individuals are themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the one thing you can bring to the table. And it's kind of like a superpower once you learn how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would say definitely being yourself, and everything after that falls into line the way it should.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing the right thing.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you having this interview with me.
I appreciate being
it was great.
here. Yes.
Well, that's the end of it.